Welcome to episode 42 of the Brew Crew Scoop. Welcome to October baseball. Brewers and Mets are about to embark in a 3-game series at Miller Park. Starting today, by the time this episode drops. So we know who the opponent is now. The Mets and Braves splitting a doubleheader today to settle the bracket, and the Mets are coming right back home to Milwaukee.
To be honest, I couldn't really think of a better way for it to go. Mets win game 1. Edwin Diaz.
That's beta, bro. Beta. We want the best. We want the hardest path.
I mean, I wanted the Diamondbacks just selfishly, just to get revenge, but Edwin Diaz threw 40 pitches. He's not going tomorrow. So if you can get in a position where it's a close game, he's not coming in. At least it wouldn't be smart for him to come in. So
and I think he pitched yesterday too, or 2 days ago by the time we dropped this. So I think there's no way he's available game 1.
I mean, those games were close, both of them. I don't know how much they really cared to win the second one. I was at work, didn't get to watch that one, but I was just happy to watch entertaining baseball. It was a lot of fun to watch that first game today. So go Mets. I'm glad we got them. Really didn't want to see the Diamondbacks in the back of my head, but selfishly I did want to see them, but screw them.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely worked out how I think a lot of fans wanted it to. And like you guys said, especially getting Diaz. Obviously, they didn't use a top arm today. They used McGill in the first game, the one they won, and then I forgot who started the second game. It's the dude with the Italian last name. Something
Lucchesi.
Yeah.
Joey Lucchesi. Yeah.
But either way, so they have a decent. They didn't have to use Sevy today, so that probably comes into play against us. But yeah, I think we'd still rather see them than the D-backs. Realistically, D-backs offense is one of the best in the league, honestly, and their arms hadn't performed as good as they are. But a lot of those names are guys I would trust with a ball in a 1-game series if I was a fan. So sucks for the D-backs. They didn't make it in. And I think the MLB might owe them an apology after how today worked out.
Yeah, it's tough to have those games isolated. I know you make the argument those games had to happen anyways, but it's tough knowing that
but
whoever wins game 1
would have probably pitched. Yeah, they would have tried to win.
So Diaz threw 26 pitches on Sunday and 40 on Monday. So if he pitches at all in game 1, it's gonna be minimal, and that would pretty much guarantee he's out game 2. So I think you got to go try to steal one in game 1 with their closer out. So yeah, we'll talk more about that series, but the normal weekly recap, I was gonna breeze through it real fast because no one really cares at this point. Didn't mean much for the Brewers, but I will say they went 4-2 against the Pirates and the Mets. Finished the season with a 93-69 record, one of the best win totals in franchise history, tied for the 6th most wins in a season. Still have a ton of other cool stuff to talk about though from the week as these seasons wrapped up and full season accolades kind of got put together. Adames and Churio became the first teammates in franchise history to go 20-20. Adames was the 7th player in franchise history to go 30-20. Tobias Myers finished the year tied 8th all time with Teddy Higuera for rookie strikeouts with 127. Freddy just finally on his last batter of the year, he knew it was going to be his last batter. He got 200 Ks. He's one of 4 Brewers in all time with multiple 200 K seasons, along with Giovanni, Corbin, and Teddy. And then 50 steals for Bryce Terang. So a lot of huge full season accolades for Brewers players wrapping up this week. So a lot of really cool stuff to go along with all the other cool stuff that's been happening for the crew this year.
Yeah, can't argue that.
Wanted to give you guys a chance to sum up the season in a one word or a short phrase. Looking back on a season where coming into the year, we were looking at hopefully going over 500 and stealing a wild card, and now here we are at 93-69.
I saw I wanted to use Undaunted so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
How'd you
say
think
that.
of that?
It's just
That's so lazy. But I think one word is surprising. I was surprised multiple times throughout the year, looking at individual stats. Tobias, you just mentioned Tobias Myers. It took me like probably till his like eighth start to be like, wow, this guy actually is kind of dealing. Like he just kind of flew under the radar, and then finally like national attention started picking up, and year's name next to Teddy Aguirre and those kind of guys. It's impressive and it's very surprising. Not a guy that you would have thought 4 months ago would probably be starting a playoff game for us. So, and then obviously Jackson Churio. I know we had our preseason projections for everybody, but there's no way any of us really thought he was going to break out and do all of that as a 20-year-old. Super impressive. We've talked about that a million times. And then obviously the bullpen pieces, Brian Hudson breaking out, surprised by that. Bryce Terang went on that offensive hot streak. Surprised by that. Pat Murphy as a whole, I mean, we can all talk about how he has his mishaps every now and then, but I mean, I'm surprised at the job he did. I mean, what a job throughout the entire organization. So I was just surprised by everything. I mean, you guys know I didn't pick the Brewers to win the division. I think I picked them to finish second or third. And it's just, I'm surprised, to be honest.
yeah. I actually originally was gonna also say Undaunted, and I'm like, he can't actually do that. And then I was gonna say surprised because I agree, but you handled both those, so I'm gonna go with vibes. I would have said aura, but I'm not up on the lingo like Kian and the kids. So I'm just gonna go with vibes. It's more in my bag. But I mean, honestly, ever since that first series against the Mets, we had the Reese crybaby situation going on. And since then, this team's just been vibing, whether it was the couple of fights at the start of the year, and it was Pat Murphy throughout the whole season. Churio definitely got more comfortable and got a little more I don't want to say showy, but a little more willing to have some fun, I think, on the field. Contreras is always vibing. Adames is always vibing. Just a lot of, I think, guys. I mean, even Devin Williams back now. He's I don't know, he's got that swag too. So I just think the whole team and the camaraderie. I don't know. We always have a pretty good clubhouse, I think, but this year it seems like it's as good, if not better, than it's ever been. Just seems like a really good full team unit, which is obviously what you need in baseball. So that's what I'm going with.
That was a good one.
Thanks, Kian.
I
Good
mean,
stuff,
that probably
Paul.
would have been a second one in my head. The vibes have been off the charts.
We just think so alike.
You guys and your words.
We both love Ryan Braun
I used to.
at one point.
All right, I need to hear from both of you about the untouchable pitcher of the week. If you would like to indulge in our final segment from the regular season in this.
You fellas are untouchable. Is that the thing? No one can get to you?
Untouchable.
Kian, you want to go first? Because I know who I'm going to say, but I got two options, so I can pivot.
I didn't have any time to prep for this, so
I'll go
I'm
for
going,
you and me, Kian.
Yeah, I was going to say I was just going to go full season. If you wanted to go this week, I could just go full season. My favorite pitcher who was unhittable. I'll just go with that.
Have you ever watched the game?
I
Just kidding.
I do when I can.
I'm just kidding.
But I'll just go with mine for the whole year. Kind of a guy that honestly kind of got shit on by a lot of, Brewers Twitter and maybe even some media members about how he was supposed to come out and be this dominant guy. And maybe he wasn't, but he was still made a start every 5 days. Freddy Peralta, I mean, he may not have been, the most untouchable of the group, but he was consistent, didn't get hurt. So that would be my guy. And he's clearly still in everybody's mind, the best pitcher in that rotation, because he's the only one that is scheduled to start a game right now. They don't even know who would be game 2. So that is my guy, my untouchable pitcher of the season, just based off of, like you said earlier, vibes. The vibes are there, even if the numbers might not be. That Freddie can be one of, if not the most dominant guy on the mound at certain times. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my pick just for the week, but I like your pick there. I'm gonna go with I got two, like I said. One's a starter, one's a reliever. So Savali, he went 6 this week. He had gave up 3 hits, a walk, and had 5 Ks. Solid outing, which is what we've come to expect from him. Honestly, in a Brewers uniform is just super solid. And then on the reliever side, I'm giving it to Mr. Aaron Ashby. He went 2 2/3 with 3 Ks and no hits or walks, I believe. So he's been pretty kind of unbelievable, I guess, relative to what we've seen of him recently. Since he's come back in the pen and he's stayed untouchable. So excited to see his kind of role in the playoffs. See if we leverage him in situations or not, because it's always kind of a different atmosphere for that playoff bullpen.
All right. Well, Kean, who was your hot hitter of the year then, I guess?
Oh, stop dropping on fire, Ricky Bobby. I'm on fire. He's so hot right now.
I would just go with Willy Adames. I mean,
wow, how original.
I know, yeah, I'm fucking lame. But I was actually going to go for the week because before this week started, I saw he was like 2 or 3 stolen bases away from, getting that 2020. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to actually get that. You think anybody's in his ear? Like, bro, you should just go every time you get on base. And then he ended up getting it. So that's pretty damn cool. I also think it's hilarious that he took the day off after the clinch, but played literally every other day at shortstop. He was 1 game away from starting all 162. But I heard some rumblings that he was out very late in the morning of the game day that he took off. So it only makes sense. It's going to be not the same without him this year. I wonder how they're going to recreate him in the aggregate for the 2025 season.
Let's not worry about that right now, Kian. But let's hope the Mets party like Willy Adames after a clinch, and we can get him tomorrow on quite the hangover. Kian on a Saturday morning, I'm gonna do a hot hitter of the week as well, and I'm going with this one's shout out to past podcast guest Ryan, big fan. Jake Bauers, hot hitter of the week. He had 11 plate appearances, 2 singles, a homer, 2 runs, RBI, a walk, a steal for a 9.64 OPS. And obviously he was coming off a hot week too with the walk-off against the D-backs prior week. So he just kept it rolling. So his bat's actually been pretty solid, and I am not going to be surprised when we see him in some playoff at-bats.
Is his batting average above his weight yet? I believe he weighs 220 pounds.
Then probably not.
Is it over 200?
We're not a batting average team, okay, Kian? We worry about the slug. We worry about the on base, okay?
I actually would say we are the opposite. Look at Bryce Terang, Sal Frelick, and somewhat Joey Ortiz recently, but he had a few bombs in the last week or two. So
yeah,
I'm gonna jam something in here real quick before we get back on track. Talk
it's
about
nice of you to ask.
Yeah, well, I made the Alpines. So, Sal Frelick slammed into a wall, bone bruise. So saw him running the bases. I'm sure
that's what he gets for trying in a game that doesn't matter.
Yeah, says Mets
Fuck
fans
the
on Twitter.
Mets.
That was so lame. That's the one reason I wanted to stop rooting for them. But, anyways, bone bruise. I'm almost certain he'll be on the wild card roster. I don't know if he'll play immediately or not. But with probably 11 pitchers, 14 hitters, we'll see that. I did know Tyler Black was in the clubhouse the other day. So going against a righty, who knows what they might mess around and do with Jake Bauers, maybe Tyler Black on the roster.
You
good
said
time
you
to
saw
mention
that video.
of him running the bases.
What was I supposed to feel about? Like, it looked
No,
uncomfortable as hell.
It looked
like,
uncomfortable.
It didn't look like it was convincing at all.
Well, when he went down, it looked like he like broke a hip. So the fact he's running the bases is encouraging. But we'll have more than enough position players on the roster for sure.
I mean, yeah, but the outfield's not really that deep.
No, I agree. I mean, it's definitely not what you want, but we can survive a 3-game series.
Yeah.
with him if need be, I think. Better than the Braves losing Chris Sale 24 hours before their playoff starts. Gave me a little reminder of last year with Woody, but yeah,
Somebody said that he might be available to start tomorrow.
well, yeah, he might. I'm sure he might. I'm sure they'll put him on the roster for a 3-game series and say he might, but who knows? It sounds like they were truly planning on him pitching this whole time till today, but also again, who knows? I guess there's an outside chance that it was a lie just to push him to the next day, so then there were no questions about their integrity of losing the second
Well,
game.
I heard it was
Or-
just back spasms.
yeah,
I don't know. feel
I don't
like
know. I guess it
yeah.
doesn't really make sense for them to lie about it, but yeah, but wanted to just put that in there at that spot. So now I wanted to hit on StatCast. So drop some knowledge on me.
Baseball isn't just numbers. It's not science.
You sure about that?
Yeah, my StatCast was really it kind of ties into I think a conversation we'll have later, but I just started looking at probably the Mets probables versus our probables and how we fared against the batters on each team, and that piece of things does look good. Just to sum it up, I guess. Quintana against the current Brewers roster, our OPS against him is 903. Severino against the current Brewers roster, our OPS against him is 953. And Sean Manaea, our OPS against him, which this series been a different pitcher, so I don't think this is as fair with you, but our OPS against him is 1.044. So we've almost one dotted against all the pitchers we figure to face on the Mets, I believe, because I think Peterson, obviously going Sunday against us, I don't think he'll be ready again to pitch in the series. So we've hit them really well, and out of all the guys that we could possibly throw, the highest, there's no OPS over 800. They're all 700 or really low. Tobias Myers and Aaron Savali both fared very well against the Mets, but other than that, Frankie and Freddy both are just in the 700s, so kind of average batting against those two. So, like we talked about, I think we wanted the Mets, and when we look at it on paper with how our batters fare against their pitchers, you get what I'm trying to say. Looks like we square up real well. As long as you take out the revenge game factor of many players on the Mets, including Jesse Winker.
Yeah, fuck. Winker, McNeil. Trust me, I've already thought about all
Well,
of it.
McNeil has like a broken wrist or something. I don't even think he's coming back. But like Tyrone.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
I think Ben Gamel might be off their roster now, but he was on it just a couple weeks ago.
Hopefully they
have a lot
drink
of
a lot of champagne.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but maybe. Stearns is down there ripping it out of people's mouth. No fun here, he says.
Yeah. The no fun crew.
Yeah.
Of Stearns and Craig. Couldn't be us. Couldn't be Milwaukee. Not in 2024.
Undaunted.
All right. Other Brewers news. Outside of Sal, didn't really have too much. I don't think. Anoli was DFA'd, but I think we touched on that last episode. I did see Brandon Woodruff is going to be thrown on the first pitch during the wild card series along with Jim Gantner. So Woody will throw out a first pitch at. I don't know. Thought that was kind of interesting, kind of very unique, I would say, to have
it's weird.
a player with an arm injury throwing out a first pitch. But they got to pull out all the stops to get the crowd fired up, because I tell you what, I was there last year for the wild card games, and the second that the lead was blown, it got quiet, and it was just this like stressed, like, oh my gosh, it's happening again feeling. And I hate to say it, but I kind of felt the same way. It was hard to stay rowdy when you're like, why is this happening again? So they're gonna pull out all the stops now to try to get the crowd rowdy from the beginning, and hopefully we can catch the Mets on a little bit of a day after the party hangover, and a lot of travel, a lot of back and forth, a lot of games, a lot of pitches. So, but yeah, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there wasn't much on the news and transaction side of things.
No, I didn't see much. Maybe just the fact that Anoli went to the Chicago Cubs. So one thing I tweeted about, whatever that was, Friday night, about the vibes just being different. I think that, or compared to last year's wildcard games at least, I think that's totally true. I mean, just the way that the fans have kind of rallied around, Pat Murphy. And last year, to be honest, it was like every game you were so stressed because the offense could not score runs. They just like could not score. And every game was like, well, if your starter doesn't go, 5 innings and give up 1 run, you're kind of screwed now, which is kind of why I was confused that most people, the attendance numbers were somewhat down. They were pretty much the same as last year, but offensive baseball is so much more exciting if you're a casual fan than watching a pitching duel. Well, unless you're Cole, who just rolled his eyes, but that's just my opinion.
I agree with you.
No,
Keenan, for the record.
especially like you said, as a casual fan, that's 100%.
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah.
if you're watching it and you're like,
Oh, I agree.
the exit, if you're watching the exit velos and you're watching defensive positioning and all that kind of stuff, like we do, a pitching duel can be super fun to watch, especially if there's great defensive plays and all that stuff. But like this year, I feel like I can get more hyped because, as Scoop just said, when the lead was blown, it was like, well, this is it. Now I feel like the lead's blown and we're just going to come back.
And that's how you win in the playoffs. You score runs like Cole.
And you got to hit home runs.
What about the Mariners? What happened to the Mariners this year?
Yeah, they're missing some bats.
They have like the most quality starts of all time or some shit like that, and they are not in the playoffs. So, teams in Brewers history that have had playoff success, there hasn't been much, but they score runs. So
they score runs and they pitch just enough.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll take a top of the rotation of Freddy Peralta and Tobias Myers over Ulysse Chassin and
Chase Anderson.
Who was next? Chase, yeah.
Chase the ace.
Yeah.
But no, that was a really good point by you. The vibes are just different. And as to bring it back to Cole, vibes are different because of the offense. It's just a completely different team, in my opinion, than last year. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
You do have a lot more faith going into games, knowing that they can come back from down 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever we saw in that last week.
Well, I mean, the Diamondbacks saw it. Their season ended because of it. So
I was going to say, too, obviously the offense is a lot better and the starters aren't maybe as high end, but we still have the pen. We still have the back end that's super strong, which also helps a ton. Obviously, no pitcher is perfect, but when we get the ball to the high leverage guys in the back end, you watch almost every game, and even after Williams might walk the first 2 guys, somehow I still know he's going to get out of it. So it feels really good to have those guys in the back end.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to go tomorrow. I'm going to be loud and proud. I hope everybody else, if you listen to this tomorrow before the game, you decide to buy some tickets and get out.
Are you going to boo Winker harder this year or last year than you did last year?
Yeah, can we please not boo Winker?
I'm not going to boo him. I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm sorry that he was hurt last year. I mean, I booed him last year, and I was more booing the decision.
We booed Craig last year. We did not boo Jesse Winker.
I was like, what is Jesse Winker going to do? Sorry, he sucked. And the underlying numbers were there, Cole. You should know this as a StatCast guy. The underlying numbers were there that the production just wasn't coming.
Yeah.
And it was going to come. And this year it did. I was looking at his numbers today when they were playing, and I was like, wow, if he would have had that season in Milwaukee last year, nobody would have batted an eye. He's got a 750 OPS. I mean,
and then we booed Winker this year when he's on the Nationals in town, and I tweeted and I said, "What are we booing this dude for? It's not his fault."
Yeah, what did he do?
Broken neck. He literally swung, was holding his neck that has been injured all year. Thought for sure he was done after striking out. Then they rolled him out there the next day. What a ridiculous sequence of events by that jackass.
You want to hear an interesting Jesse Winker stat? He had 14 steals with the Nats this year in his 101 games, right? I remember seeing that. I was like, interesting. Goes to the Mets. Guess how many steals he has with the Mets?
13.
0 steals. He has not attempted a steal since he went, and he had 18 attempts on the Nats. It's kind of weird. It's probably because they said, hey, you're actually not fast, and we don't want you to get out on the bases.
Yeah. And
the probability of you being safe is not as good as you being out.
I wonder if Winker maybe was out, maybe gambling a little bit, little blackjack back in his Nationals days with a certain teammate on the Nats.
Mr. CJ.
Yeah, maybe he was a bad influence, or maybe it was the exact opposite, and he actually was all business. But anyways,
I tell you
will
what,
say,
I'm gonna be holding my breath every time he comes to the plate in this series. I promise you that.
Winker,
well,
yeah.
Cole mentioned Ben Gamel earlier. I swear to God, every time Ben Gamel plays the Brewers, he hits a home run. So if he's actually off the playoff roster, that's a huge win for us.
Ben
Then we
Gamel's
only
the
have to deal with
man.
Winker.
He's got great genes.
Matt Gamel
That's
is
my
the GOAT.
guy.
I wonder if there's still Brewers fans that don't know that they're related.
I feel like
It'd be
that. I
crazy.
feel like there's probably a handful of Brewers fans that just don't even know Matt Gamel exists at this point.
I would totally agree with that. He was the chosen one, the prodigal
Yeah.
son.
If anyone has a Matt Gamel jersey, they're super cool. It's me.
I firmly
have it.
disagree.
I wonder if there's any Matt Gamel jerseys out there.
Yeah,
I've yet to see
I
one.
wish I'd probably pay a decent dollar for that. I don't know. I don't see Ben Gamel on their 40 man anymore. The Mets must have got rid of him, but he was on the team not long ago. So
I have a Ben Gamel jersey, and I put duct tape over the Gamel 16 and then wrote Gamel 24 on it for Matt.
why do you have a Ben Gamel jersey?
Yeah.
I was like, that's more obscure than a Matt Gamel jersey.
And say that was like me almost buying Matt Chapman, or not Matt Chapman. Jesus. Oh my God, I can't even think of his name.
Domingo
Mark
Santana.
Canna.
Mark
Canna. I almost bought a Mark Canna
Yeah,
jersey.
I talked you out of it. You
I
remember
think that was,
set you down. I
during
said,
the national wildcard game.
by the time you get that jersey, he's gonna be gone.
Meaningless, but it's the obscurity that matters to me.
Yeah.
Like the Domingo Santana one I got, and the Keston Hero one my girlfriend has. Like they're just
That
perfect.
wasn't
for
supposed to
getting
be
rid of them.
obscure. That was
Yeah, it wasn't.
lucky for her. It became obscure.
Hey man, she bought that at like a Kohl's too. I didn't even know they sold jerseys.
What I will say is we've been talking about the Brewers vibes a lot. Mets vibes do worry me because if any team is a vibes team, it is the Mets. Between Grimace and what's the song? I forget what it's called.
OMG.
Yeah, OMG. I was playing that the other day for Alyssa, and she was like, "Why are we listening to this?" I was like, "Cause it's the Mets infielder. It's kind of a bop, right?" But that's before I knew that now he's the enemy. So they are a vibes team. So if vibes is what gets it done in baseball, which sometimes it is, that is the biggest reason to worry about this team, honestly.
I think if the games were being played in New York, it'd be a little different because
Yeah,
they
'cause
play the
Grimace would be
OMG
there.
song, and they would definitely bring Grimace
Oh, the
out.
trumpets. They'd have the trumpets too. Do they
Like,
still do that?
I don't know.
Dude, that's Contreras' walk-up song.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
So Cole, you wanted to do all the segments, and now you're just freaking skipping around the farm. So you mind if I burn it real quick?
Yeah, hit it.
Because after that, we're all playoff talk.
Go.
All right, around the farm.
If it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
If it hadn't been for you meddling kids. Ah, meddling kids. If it hadn't been for these meddling laddies.
Craig Yoho, Casey Hunt, Jesus Mata, and Cooper Pratt were the farm players of the year in 2024 for the Milwaukee Brewers. The 4 players of the year last year were Tyler Black, Jackson Churio, Robert Gasser, and Carlos F. Rodriguez. We saw all 4 of those dudes in the major leagues. 1.5 of them had decent sized roles in Churio and Gasser. So Mata's too young, but I would expect to see Yoho, Hunt, and Pratt all in 2025.
You think so?
I do think so.
Yoho for sure.
If Adames is gone, I think we could see Pratt.
Yeah, but I think the Ortiz is shortstop. I don't know, maybe. Pratt just, I mean, skyrocketed.
Now we can talk Brewers and Mets.
All right. Thanks. I'm curious about the Mets. Sorry, but I was thinking about it, and I don't want to lose it. But the Mets playoff roster, I want to know if what is it, Luis Angel Acuna? Is that his first name? I want to see if if he makes the playoff roster or not. I think he probably will now, right?
Yeah.
But kind of interesting.
Lindor's kind of nursing something too. It sounds like.
Lindor is good at baseball.
He was okay today.
Yeah. Watching him just not even pimp that home run and just, do the nonchalant jog around the base paths was just, it sent something through me.
He's awesome. Actually,
she was a Brewer.
Yeah.
Actually, we have one at home. We have Willy at home
Yeah.
for now. It could be for the next 2 days, so who knows?
So we're looking at probably, well, Freddy for the Brewers tomorrow, or today, I should say, game one. But likely Luis Severino. Two similar kind of seasons for the two of them. Mid to upper threes ERA. Severino, I believe, when I looked earlier, at 167 Ks on the year. Freddie, obviously 200. So it's gonna be a good pitching matchup, and we need good Freddie tomorrow for sure. After that, I would assume it's probably Montas and Myers in some order. Maybe an opener and Koenig, maybe a piggyback with DL Hall or Aaron Ashby or all the above. But yeah, be huge to just go in there, steal game one before the Mets have even really been able to settle back into Milwaukee.
I mean, I just want to win a playoff game, like just to win one.
We're gonna win a few.
Would be like super nice, and especially I feel like they haven't had a better opportunity than tomorrow to really just like take a series by the nutsack.
Yeah, it's time to flip the script.
Put themselves in the driver's seat to dominate. I mean, if they don't do it tomorrow, it's going to be a tough ride home from the stadium for myself. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I will say, though, is if they don't, I don't think it's actually over, but it's just so poised for us to get it done. But I like how we set up for all 3 games, honestly. But hopefully it's just 2 games.
Vibes are so good, too, going into the series. Between the Willy getting the ovation, leaving the field, and you win 93 games. We clinched at a good time where it wasn't too early and you cool off too much. It wasn't the last game, so you're burning pitchers. Vibes are good right now. Outside of Sal's injury, I would say vibes are about as good as they can be.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, like Cole said, if they don't win tomorrow, it's really not the end of the world, in my opinion, because that just kind of determines how you're going to play the next 2 games. And again, the Mets may have to burn more guys tomorrow. I mean, Edwin Diaz threw, like you said, almost 70 pitches in 2 days. 1 day of rest is going to bring him back. I mean, and he didn't even pitch well today. He went far and he pitched like shit. So, I mean, if they don't win tomorrow, not the end of the world, but they are just set up for an alley-oop right now from Major League Baseball for maybe the first time ever.
All right. The Brewers beat the Mets and advance to the NLDS if blank.
Cole, you want to take this one first?
If
I already know where this
Freddy
jackass
Peralta
is
does
stay.
his job. No, if Freddy Peralta does his job, if we see Freddy P at what we know he's capable of, we get through that game tomorrow and we have 2 games to prove we're better than the Mets, other than having the best pitcher, I think, in the series. And between the starters we have available, the relievers that'll keep it tight, and the lineup, I think that end gets it done. But I think Freddie just going out and being an ace tomorrow is what will win us the series. Or today, I guess, depending on how we look at it. But
Ian,
I really thought you were going to go a different avenue, but
the Brewers advance the NLDS and win against the Mets in the wildcard series if blank.
Rhys Hoskins plays up to his contract. I mean, you kind of brought him in to hit bombs and be the guy who's in the clutch. And I was going to say the offense as a whole, but if Rhys Hoskins can just give you, like he had against the Mets on the other day, whatever day that was, Friday, and just give you that one signature moment. Like last year, we didn't have that. When's the last time we had a signature offensive moment? Like game 1 of the NLDS, it was all Corbin Burns the last game in the playoffs that we won was Corbin Burns having a great pitching outing. We won 3-1. I mean, every playoff team has that signature offensive moment in a big game. And it's not just going to be like, oh, we stole base and hit him in. Somebody's got to hit a huge bomb. And in my opinion, it's going to be Rhys Hoskins. I mean, the dude's been heating up. He's peaking at the right time. But it could be, it could be anybody. It could be Willy. It would be awesome if it was Churio. in my opinion. But it could be, Sal Frelick or Bryce Terang hitting one down the line. He's been hot, super hot lately with the extra base hits. So if let's say there's guys on base and Bryce Terang hits one in the corner for a triple, I just know that place is going to pop like crazy. But I mean, Rhys Hoskins taking one off the scoreboard would warm my heart.
If Jackson Chourio hits a big home run in the playoffs at home, it's going to be electric.
And this is what I'm talking about. Like last year, we were probably talking about, Corbin Burns and Freddy Peralta have got to go out there and dominate.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just lost our number 2 literally the day before the playoffs. The vibes are just not there. Like I'm getting hyped just thinking about the crowd pops, the vibes. Like it's just going to be an exciting time to be a Brewer fan. And I really hope that place is packed early because last year it wasn't filling in early and it was kind of disappointing to set up as a whole. So let's hope it's a little different tomorrow, which I think it will be.
All right. We'll get into the bracket predictions. So first, the wild card round. If you guys want to pick the matchups and then the amount of games, we'll just do the amount of games for the wild card round. We don't need to bother with the next rounds. But all right. The Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. Kian, who do you got? How many games?
Orioles in 2.
Colt?
Orioles in 3.
I got the Royals in 3.
Can I guess why? Do you like their pitching?
I do. I do like their pitching. No Gray Rod. And Corbin hasn't been first half Corbin the second half. So a lot will hinge on his start. All right. Astros and Tigers.
Astros in 2.
I'm gonna go Stros in 3. I'm going with the 3 because both these teams I think have good top end pitching. I just think they can get a game, both the Royals and the Tigers.
Tigers could use like a Flaherty or something,
I don't know if that would help them enough to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I remember doing this last year and we just kept saying that we hoped all 3 would go, or all 4 series would go to 3 except for the Brewers, and none of them did.
Well, now I don't care. Now I just want the Brewers to win. I'm making that this year.
I just hope that the other 3 go to 3 just for baseball's purposes. But
I got Astros in 2. Star Power is going to break out again in October. They just coast into the postseason. It doesn't matter. Braves Padres.
I'm going Padres in 2.
Yeah, Padres in 2.
Padres in 2 all the way around.
Chris you know what that means.
Deflating news, just like Woody last year.
Yeah.
Padres are looking good.
But Braves, the fact that they made, obviously they're still really talented, but the fact that they made the playoffs, considering what they've lost, I think alone is impressive. So,
talk about a team going off vibes too. The Padres are,
oh yeah,
going off of vibes pretty good right now.
All right, Brewers Mets.
You got to go Brewers in 2. I mean,
Brewers in 2.
Brewers in 2. Let's go, boys. I'm feeling really good about this series.
Uh-oh.
I do.
I am too. I mean, I'm sick of being the guy that's like, oh, but wait, there's a catch. No, fuck it. Brewers in 2. Let's fucking go. Let's get it over with.
1-9 in their last 10 playoff games. The vibes are better than they have been going into the playoffs probably since 2019, even without Yelich that year. It's time to win a playoff series, and I think they're going to come out and finally do it.
Yeah, I think getting it done in 2 sets us up well too, considering how balanced our rotation is. Like, there's not going to be a huge fall off to whoever would take the pill in the first couple of the next series. So, yeah,
good stuff. All right, so we're on the same page about a lot of those picks. Going into the next round, we don't need to pick games because we all have different winners. But I'm going to take the Royals and Astros to both move on after winning the wild card. Upset the Yankees and the Guardians. Astros for obvious reasons because they live in the ALCS. And the Royals just because I like their pitching. And then in the NL, I got the Padres and the Phillies advancing. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but then I got a question for you guys after your picks as well. But I got the Padres and the Phillies.
I'll take Houston as well. For Stephen Vogt's purposes, I would hope he would win. Prove me wrong. I've got the Yankees strictly because I picked them in the preseason ones, even though I think it would be the Royals or the Orioles if they get past the Royals. And then in the NL, I've got the Dodgers and the Phillies again. Rematch. So they just
what the hell?
Save us,
I know,
Cole. Save us.
yeah.
What the? All right, I got the Astros and the Yankees. I think the MLB, they want the Judge Soto duo moving on. Sorry, Scoop. They don't want your fucking Royals, buddy. Nice
mean,
try.
I love Judge and Soto. I'll give you that. I like those guys.
I
Okay.
like those guys.
Here's my question.
You didn't even finish his picks.
I have to do the NL.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead.
Padres and
He wants to be
And
different.
Brewers.
So
And
no,
Brewers.
that's not
Padres
what
and
you had
Brewers.
written down.
I didn't have fucking anything written down. I have the you can't see it. I have the bracket on my phone. I was just doing it on the fly.
So
No,
did
no,
I.
you clowns are not even real
Here's-
Brewers fans.
Here's what I want to know. This is my question. So the Phillies are the 2 seed, so it's seemingly we get the better, quote unquote, better matchup playing the Phillies. Would you rather play the Dodgers or the Phillies in the NLDS?
The Phillies.
I'd rather play the
Dodgers.
Dodgers. It's the Dodgers right now. That's what
Yeah.
stinks. That's what kind of stinks for me is I feel like we could beat the Dodgers in a 5-game series, but the Phillies really worry me. Especially you head to Philadelphia for the first 2 games. We know how Philadelphia is in the playoffs. So
Yeah, but we
it's
got
not,
Reese, bro.
it's
Reese
cer-
owns
yeah.
Philadelphia.
It's certainly not impossible, but it's definitely I think a taller task than beating the Dodgers. Although who knows, Shohei is just on a different planet
That
right
guy
now.
stinks.
He could rally a home crowd or two. So yeah, I was interested to hear what you guys think. But then after that, I got Phillies over Astros World Series. Another boring. It probably won't happen because that's just boring to pick the Phillies and the Astros to go to the World Series and the Astros to win, or the Phillies to win, excuse me. But I think that Bryce Harper one of these years is going to get it done, get his ring with the Phillies, and they're a good team.
I've got the Yankees over the Phillies.
The Yankees,
But I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series, just based off of how much money that would generate for the league.
Yeah.
Just an astronomical amount of star power. Not to mention the 2 probably biggest markets, minus maybe Chicago in the game. I mean, that would be one hell of a casual fan World Series. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm gonna go. I don't really know what I think is the problem because I'm gonna go Padres over the Astros. Just gonna get rowdy.
Josh
I
Hader's
don't know. Padres got arms and they got some vibes. The Stros pitching just starting to roll has me thinking they'll beat the Yankees. But if it wasn't for their starters figuring it out so much, I probably wouldn't go with the Stros. But when you consider that lineup plus all their arms actually performing, they're
You said the Astros over the Dodgers?
No, I said the
Padres.
Astros over the Padres.
Padres. Yeah, okay.
Are you even listening?
So you got the Padres beating the Brewers in the NLCS. You just try to slip that in there.
Well,
You think that we can beat the Phillies, but we can't beat the Padres.
yeah, we're gonna be worn down, dude. We're gonna have such a tough series beating the Phillies. I mean, worn out. Willie's
and we have
probably
home field.
Willie's probably
home
gonna
field
get
in
Willie's probably gonna get hurt trying so hard to bring it
Wow.
home.
Dude,
Wow.
you better cut that.
And
You better cut that.
Then the Padres come into town and
No, the crowd would be so hyped with the Manny Machado boos, I think.
No, here's the
Oh,
thing.
dude, I
Manny Machado
can't
would have
handle-
7 home runs in the series.
that's exactly. I promise you, that's what would happen. I
Oh,
can
dude,
Nah.
stomach
really-
a Manny Machado against the Brewers in the playoffs.
I already am nervous to watch Schwarber against the Brewers in the playoffs as a fucking leadoff hitter. He'll have 8
Yeah, but
million at bats.
Machado is just the classic D-bag that he plays well when people hate him, and he knows we fucking hate him. So that would
Yeah.
suck so bad.
He would enjoy it. He'll have a little smirk.
Oh gosh, that stinks.
Nah.
Well, all right. My next question: the Brewers win the World Series if blank.
I'll go first on this one. When I was making a tweet the other day, I was looking at their offensive numbers per playoff run. Every time they bat over 250 in the playoffs, they make it to the LCS. So that's a huge piece. It's astonishing how badly some of their offense performance have been. I mean, the Nationals obviously 1-game wild card. Throw that one out, but you got the 2021 NLDS. You've got last year. You've got 08. When they in 11, 18, and 82, I'm pretty sure their averages were all over. And I know we're not a batting average team, but it's all over like 245, I think was the lowest. And I think that was even 1982. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like what you're saying is just like, it's like when people say home runs win, like, no shit, that's runs. It's like hitting, no shit, if you hit the ball, you're going to win games.
well, Scoop asked the question, we win the World Series if
I know. So what's your
we
answer?
hit the ball. We hit the ball. I
Okay.
mean, I'm sorry, my answer was not good enough.
No, you're good. You just let it off with, we make the LCS if we hit 250. So I'm like,
In our short playoff
I
term,
know.
that is the truth. I mean,
I just want to know what we have to do to win the World Series, Coach Kean. And you said we have to hit the ball. Is that what I need us to do?
sure.
Paul, the Brewers win the World Series if blank.
You know, I did some research. When the Brewers give up less runs than their opponents in the playoffs, we advance. So we just need to outscore the opponents.
You boys make these clips so unclippable for me for Twitter.
Here's the thing. That's a loaded question. I think there's
Oh,
not just
here we
one
go.
answer. There's not just one answer. I mean, what do the Brewers need to do to win the World Series? Kean's right. Like, the offense is just gonna have to step up and be there every game, because we know that the rotation's not, we're not gonna throw no hitter every game. So offense just needs to show up and get it done in the clutch. I think, honestly, the one guy that Keen said Reese earlier, and that's a great call, and is what we kind of signed him for. But I think an early season, if we get early season William Contreras back, and he kind of shows that MVP type of just all around, I think, hitter, he could have a huge impact on a run. So I'll say William Contreras has to win the World Series MVP for us to win a World Series. What about
So
you,
we have to hit the
Alex?
ball. So we have to hit the ball. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
Oh, I'm just merely the host. I ask the questions. All right. But I'd say we have to hit the ball. I don't know. I honestly didn't think of an answer before the podcast, but I don't know. I almost feel like I don't want to jinx anything, but I feel like that might be more of the given and for this team is that we will hit the ball. So maybe I want to say that the way that we win the World Series is if our pitching can keep us competitive. That's kind of my thought process right now. And I say keep us competitive because I don't mean what I was thinking last year is we need to throw shutouts or 1-inning games. I think they need to keep us competitive. Just keep us. If the Brewers are never down more than 2 or 3 runs in the playoffs, I think the fans are going to legitimately have hope that there's a chance, where in years past that was not the case. So that's my takeaway. Okay, my beer of the week.
I'll have a brewski, Charlie. Well, there's nothing like a cold one after a long day, huh? Oh, yeah. I've been known to drink a beer or two.
Is Broken Bat, Mr. Oktoberfest. You guys already know about Broken Bat. Very good stuff. Very good Oktoberfest. Obviously named after the great Reggie Jackson. Final thoughts heading into the playoffs. Hopefully not the last time we're talking in the 2024 Milwaukee Brewers season. Keane, I'll let you go first. Do you have any final thoughts for us?
I know I just sent you the tweet about who's doing the games for ESPN. We have the Cubs play-by-play announcer, Boob Shambi, and we have Doug Glanville, who is the worst color commentator on the planet. This guy, I would rather watch paint dry than listen to him speak words about baseball. So thank God I won't be able to watch either of the games because I'll be at one and I'll be at work for the other. But good luck to those of you who are listening at home. You have your biggest rival who will definitely bring up Craig Counsell more than you. We could play a drinking game, I'm sure, of how much he's going to bring up Craig Counsell. And then we could also play a drinking game, take a drink every time Doug Glanville shows excitement, which is going to be never. So good luck to the people who are watching at home. I'll be listening on the radio at work and I'll be at the game. So better than nothing. Listen to you. It might be the last time. If you are unable to watch it or you have a radio at home, maybe just watch the game on mute and put Uke on because this could be it. You never know.
Yeah. I'm looking at all these broadcasts. I like Carl Ravitch and Eduardo Perez, but
I think we had them last year.
I don't know how I feel about the Michael K, Todd Frazier, Tim Kirchin booth either.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I would hate that one.
That's
not great.
It's not good.
Yeah. Cole, any final thoughts?
I think honestly, I saw a commercial earlier for the various playoff slate games tomorrow and just all the different, I guess it ties into what Kean just said there, but all the different channels and broadcasts and whatever. And I'm pumped for playoff baseball to be here. Full days. And today was like the perfect appetizer, right? But full days of high intensity baseball. It's just a totally different feel. And it's extra funny when you consider throughout the regular season, especially this year for the Crew, like every game matters. But then once we clinched, we realized we weren't going to get a bye. The last week kind of didn't matter. And then all of a sudden it jumps from the least impactful games of the year to the most, obviously. So just looking forward to watching playoff baseball. That's kind of it for me.
Breaking news. Craig Yoho was named first team all MILB relief pitcher. There's one, so he was basically named the #1 relief pitcher in minor league baseball this year. JV Blake just tweeted about it. Pretty cool.
Only one.
Yeah, only one. Cool. Only one. And he was the only Brewer they did a first and second team. He's the only Brewer for any of these. Pretty cool for Craig Yoho.
That's sick though.
Couple rapid fire final thoughts for you. Saw the video of Jackson Churio and Robin Yount meeting up. Churio tearing up, seeing the Milwaukee faithful storm the field after the 1982 ALCS. That's pretty cool. Giannis and Churio met the other day with the Thanasis Antetokounmpo throughout the first pitch. That was pretty cool for Milwaukee as well. Big gripe of mine all season long, if you've been following along, is the uniforms in general and the uniforms in the All-Star game. Well, Rob Manfred just did he just did away with the shitty Fanatics uniforms and the in-game BP uniforms for the All-Star game. So going back to the good unis all the way around. So that excites me. Willy Adames, I didn't mention this earlier. He finished second in MLB behind only Shohei in runs batted in, 112. Shohei at 130, but second place is not too shabby. Had to tip my cap to Cubs outfielder Ian Happ. Don't like to shout at the Cubs too often, but he threw a baseball with a few $100 bills on it and said, "Thanks for supporting me all year in the bleachers by the section a round of beers." That was pretty awesome. And then two more things. Closing the door on Oakland. really just bullshit that we've talked about before, that the A's are leaving. They packed the stadium with 47,000 people, and it's just greediness. Talking about the A's payroll in 2004, before Fisher bought the team, was 59.4 million. The A's payroll this year was 62.7 million. So over the last 20 years, it's really stayed the same, which is just ridiculous. I get it, you don't have fans in seats, but also, whose fault was that? Maybe there is some blame to put on the city of Oakland. I don't know, but from the outside, it looks like a lot of the owner's fault. And a lot of good points from the baseball writer saying, I don't know why the rest of MLB is putting up with the fact that they're going to be playing at a minor league turf stadium for 3 years. Like, the owners should step in and be like, this isn't happening. You need to figure something out. So just an overall shit show, and really, really embarrassing for a city that has a lot of good baseball history. I don't get that at all. It's not a like Montreal with the Expos leaving. Like, the Oakland A's were a storied franchise. So that was just embarrassing for baseball, unfortunately. Last thing, Pete Rose just passed away, and obviously Pete Rose comes with controversy, and could probably point to a couple things about his character that weren't always the best, but no doubt one of the greatest baseball players of all time. So definitely wanted to give that some recognition. Pete Rose, the hit king, passed away at 83.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'd definitely be looked at differently if he had a interpreter in his career.
Yeah. So a fall man. Kian, if you want to touch on it, I'll let you do it since you sent it, but since you didn't say it, I can also as well. The Liam Hendricks thing that you sent.
About from the White Sox, about their just utter disarray. I mean, if you have it in front of you, I'll let you do it so you can give credit to the author. But
yeah, I'm trying to find it right now again.
While you think of that,
I found it. It was a Jesse Rogers article from ESPN, basically saying that Liam Hendricks was an extrovert, loud, friendly, accessible to media, chatty. And he said that it somehow caused a rift between him and veterans Kendall Graven, Lance Lynn, and Joe Kelly. And then when Hendricks was not cured, but in remission for cancer, did a press conference, apparently the White Sox showed him like little to no support. And I already kind of had a hunch that Lance Lynn was kind of a piece of shit based on brush ups in his original Cardinal days between him and the Brewers, but don't know anything about Kendall Graveman. Surprised to hear that about Joe Kelly. But you can take all this with a grain of salt. Probably don't hear both sides of the story, but if any of that's true, we just hear so much bad stuff in the White Sox clubhouse, and it's crazy how there's turnover of players, but it seems like not turnover of culture ever. So strange. And I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I have one actual final thought now, real quick.
Well, before you get your actual final thought in, if you're listening to this podcast tomorrow or the next day, there's actual baseball on ABC, I assume. It's the next 2 days. It starts at 1:30. Kind of how Cole said, go out and watch playoff baseball. 1:30 start, 3 p.m. start, 4:30 start, 7 o'clock start. Watch playoff baseball. I know you might just be a Brewers fan if you're taking a listen, but playoff baseball is different, and the more eyes that are on it, the better. As much as we love you listening to the podcast, go watch playoff baseball, please. It's fun and good for the game.
Rick Schlesinger came out and said that the Brewers, even though the attendance wasn't near the record for a year, that the revenues are as good as they've ever been. And said fans have been great at supporting. Our TV ratings are top 3 in baseball. The mix of tickets is different. We also look at revenue as well as attendance, and our revenue numbers are as good as they've ever been, despite the fact that we don't have the same attendance that we had pre-pandemic. I don't know what that means for the payroll. We did not expand the payroll on last year, but Willy Adames is probably about to get paid somewhere else. Even Murphy just acknowledged that he's probably not going to be in Milwaukee anymore, but maybe he takes a hometown discount, and maybe the revenue was just so great. But I did see Ananasio talking about we need to work out a new TV
TV.
deal. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. That'll be a
That
good use for him to use.
the TV thing, I think, is what will determine, how our offseason goes. That's a lot of money. That's for a small market like Milwaukee. It's not a ton of money. It's probably the smallest TV deal around. But it's kind of going to determine, because that's just straight cash like that we can use on payroll. That's what most teams look at it as. When teams get huge payroll or huge TV rights deals or whatever, normally they go on a splurge. So that's kind of going to determine what it looks like. Hopefully Willie will sit out long enough for that to be figured out. I didn't read the article or read anything about Mark Andanazio's comments. I didn't know if he said it, like when it'll be done or if there's a timeline on it, but I hope it gets done soon because, like I said, that's just straight cash, man. That goes right, or that can go right into payroll.
We aren't keeping Willie. But
I don't think we are either.
I didn't
but,
say we are. Didn't say we are, but
this could also be
Yeah.
just money to use to,
period. Yes.
Reese Hoskins or, whoever else. I mean, that's a lot of money. It won't be
Yeah.
a shit ton compared to like the Yankees or the Dodgers, but it's a lot of money for a team like the Brewers.
Yep.
So hopefully they get that done ASAP.
Yep. Lots of sand. Lots of sand.
On a bam.
all right. Thanks for listening. Go Brewers.
Go Brewers.
Go Brewers.